is whether this just happens at my place or whenever we order a plate of sushi and there is that last piece left, an actual war occurs as to who's gonna have it. Because believe it or not, you love sushi, I love sushi, and we all love sushi. And it's not that I'm hungry or something, but our next guest, Suyash Keshri, also known as Sushi, is a 25-year-old wildlife presenter and filmmaker. He quit his political advocacy job in Washington, D.C. with one goal: to fulfill his childhood dream of having his own wildlife series and influencing people across the globe about the need and urgency to conserve our wild spaces. His journey started by capturing some shots in Madhya Pradesh when he was 4. That was the time when he fell in love, not with a person, but with the camera. He knew that the camera is going to be his lifelong best friend. In December 2019, his series was picked up by WWF International for a web release. He has achieved heights in the field of wildlife, though he majorly studied political science and journalism. Suyash loves playing football, drinking coffee, chasing sunsets, and meeting new people. And we have this super fun personality today with us on the Story Truck. Enjoy this episode.
Hi Suyash, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good, and thank you so much for responding. It means a lot for a small time podcast like us.
No, it's my pleasure. I started very young with whatever I'm doing, so I'm happy to always support young people trying to be out there, trying to hustle and do something. So it's my pleasure.
Thank you, Suyash. Okay, so everybody knows about your journey because I already pre-recorded something in the video. What I want to ask is,
Yeah.
I read about this time when, as a kid, you visited the zoo and you saw the
hmm
tiger for maybe one of your first time or something like that. And
hmm
you got really excited. And then your grandfather asked you this question that do you want to see them caged up throughout their life?
hmm
So would you say that was
hmm
like the defining moment of your life? Or was it like a
I
call, a
think
big...
like it, yeah, I think not of my life, but I think definitely my childhood. Because as a young person, or not even young, like I was a kid. I
4 years
was a
old?
kid, right? I was 4 years old.
Right.
And yeah, it's one of my earliest childhood memories. When you're so young, you don't really have kind of ways to look at the world. You can't judge the world. You can't analyze the world.
Right.
You only you only learn what you're taught. So I
Right.
think for my Nanaji to tell me that these tigers and these animals are not the same as that you see in TV. These are caged up in
Right.
these 4x4 cages for the rest of their life. I think, of course, it's set the path rolling into watching more documentaries online, then picking up books about wild animals, learning more, making an effort to go see them outside. So I think it has to be a very defining moment for my childhood, not of my life, because you see, life is too long to just be defined by one moment.
Right.
There's that moment, and then the moment when I saw my first leopard or first tiger. There's also the moment when I left to United States. There's also the moment when I gave up this passion, and then there's also the moment that I actually came back to this passion. So there are a lot of life-defining moments as such, but that one has to be it has to be up there for sure. Yeah.
Right. So, as a kid, would you say that your perception towards a zoo changed over time? Like, first you got excited to go, and then
100%.
slowly, yeah,
100%. I think every kid is excited to go to the zoos, and I don't blame them. I think it's very difficult for people to imagine that nature is accessible to us in different ways other than zoos. But people need to realize that we can go on safaris, or we can go to even your bird parks, which are
right,
mostly within the cities like Delhi, Mumbai. We have so many birds. In Delhi, we have 400 species of birds. In Mumbai, you can see flamingos right in
right,
Mumbai.
yeah,
There's leopards in Mumbai, which people don't understand. And the thing is, nature is accessible. A wildlife safari is accessible. Seeing things online is very accessible now, more so than
right,
ever. So this concept about animals are there just for our entertainment, slowly needs to go down. Earlier, it was there in circuses. Believe it or not, growing up, I have gone to circuses where I've seen tigers, elephants, lions, leopards in the circuses. This is when I was like 3 or 4 years old, around the same time when all of this
Right.
started interesting me. And I kid you not, when I was 3, 4 years old, going to a circus, seeing an elephant do those juggles with the ball, and on seeing a tiger like go through a loop which is on fire,
Right.
it really excited me when I was that young. But that's only because I didn't know that the tiger, the elephant, and other animals, their soul is actually broken down for them to be able to do this. They're not doing this willingly.
Right.
So I think similarly with zoos, they're not there because of their will. But when you go to a place like a national park, they are born and brought up there.
Right.
Today, if they feel they can move 10, 20, 30 kilometers somewhere else. Today, if they feel like that this area doesn't, I don't like this area, they can move around. They can sit under any tree they like. They can eat whatever they like. They can
Right.
patrol their territory. They can meet other animals. And in zoos, that's just not possible. And animals can be for our entertainment, but the entertainment should not be at their cost.
Yeah.
You can still go out, yeah, you can still go out in the wild, and when you see tiger playing with her babies or tigers playing with her cubs, or if you see a deer just grazing away, that's still pleasurable, that's still
Right.
entertainment, but it's not at the expense of the animal.
Right. There is a thin line between entertainment for yourself and entertainment for commercial purposes. So,
Yeah.
right.
Well, I think wildlife tourism is also commercial. I don't see a problem with commercial. I think the problem becomes when the commercial, or rather when everything starts, or anything starts impending on the movement of animals, their lifestyle, and really starts hurting them, which tourism sometimes does, not as much as people think, but sometimes
Right.
yes.
So, I had a question about ethical tourism because so we've all
Yeah.
gone on field trips and to national parks as kids via school. So, do you
Mm.
think there should be not a cause as such, but there should be some kind of ethics ingrained in the foundational years itself? Like when you go to a zoo or a national park, do not litter,
Yeah.
do not whatever, call the animals or take photos with a flash on,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
100%. Yeah.
Because
I think our education system.
right.
Sorry, please continue.
No, because I've seen that happen myself, and it's just sad. So I wanted to know your view on it.
Yeah, yeah. I think our educational system really forgets what is important. And it's not only about wildlife, right? For example, like we are taught, which I still don't remember, how many wives Akbar had. We're taught how many mahals and houses did
Right.
Akbar have. What happened in 1822? What happened in 1912? But we're not taught how to deal with our emotions. We're not taught how to manage our
Right.
finances. We're not taught how to start a business or a podcast. We're not taught that we have to respect environment, respect wild animals.
Right.
We're not taught that we have to stop littering. We're not taught about carbon emissions. We just know there's global warming in school, but we don't know how the ways to
Right.
stop it.
That's very
Yeah,
well said.
we're taught that there's pollution, but we're not taught about ways that our activities are leading to pollution and how we can stop those activities, and maybe the pollution will decrease. So I think all of that also bundles down into how people behave and act when they
Right.
go into a national park. Because, and I'm not saying that's just, because all kinds of people come into
Right.
national parks. And if you're going to a national park, it is kind of assumed that you have gone some education because they are expensive.
Right.
Some education doesn't mean it has to be in the best school, but some education can also mean you've grown up in a rural village and you went to that school.
Right.
The thing is, all of those schools, it's the responsibility of the government, the teachers, and also people like us to inculcate in every single person um, the ethics and ideas
Right.
about about saving the environment, conserving it, and how to behave. I always say to my guests when they're on safaris with me, hey guys, let's behave like animals, not as humans, because animals inside
Wow.
the wild, yeah, they don't litter.
Yeah.
They are very silent most of the time unless they're being attacked or eaten. Sorry, I know that sounds really bad.
No,
And
no.
most of the times they're just minding their own business.
Right.
So that's what I tell them. Yeah.
That is um, amazing because I had a question regarding that. That what have you learned from animals which no human can ever teach you? And I'm sure there'll be many learnings, but like if you could highlight a few.
Yeah. That's good. I think Solo, this Tigers who I followed for nearly 7.5, 8 years. Solo, Spotty, Dotty, Dabadol, all these females that I've followed, and some of the males I've followed as well. I have been able to get into their lives in a very, very deep manner because if you're seeing the same animal for days and days and days, if not weeks on an end, and you see them at least 100,
Right.
200 days in a year, or you spend 300 days just trying to track them, you kind of understand them. And maybe, some people say that maybe they understand you, but I don't see
It's
that
a bond, right?
because for them, it's just like, yeah, maybe there is a bond somewhere down the line. But I don't know. That's questionable because there's so many other people around as well. It's not me and my vehicle. There's
Right.
tourists coming in and out. Maybe if it was just me and my vehicle with Solo for like 8 months, then there must be a bond.
Right.
But I don't know. But what I was getting to is when you observe them so closely, when you start understanding their day-to-day lives, when you start understanding how they're doing, you start kind of like learning from them as well. For example, one thing Solo really taught me is that no matter how difficult things are in your life, no matter how uh, abysmal your life must seem, you have to kind of always remember what is in front of you and act towards it. So in 2019, January 4th, 2019, Solo had a huge fight with a male tiger, and her chest
Right.
was completely torn open. So that chest was completely torn, her chest rather was completely torn open, and at that time she had four cubs. They were just about 2 months old, and I thought like she's gonna die. But she went back and the first thing she did was go and check on her cubs, make sure they're fine, and then she tried going on for a hunt, but she couldn't hunt. And then, of course, the forest department had to sedate her and tranquilize her to sew up her wounds. But then they tied up a buffalo and she stalked nearly 45 minutes to get to the buffalo. When
Oh.
she got to the buffalo and tried jumping on the buffalo kicked her straight on the chest, exactly the point where her flesh had torn open. And she ran back, and then she waited again for 1.5 hours just to come back and try getting the buffalo. And at that time, you know, the buffalo's life ended right in front of me, and it was very sad just hearing the buffalo scream. But then that also taught me like if Solo doesn't hunt the buffalo, then Solo won't survive, and
And
Solo's
our
cubs,
kids.
all four, won't survive.
Right.
Yeah. And the thing is like when you look at wildlife, when you look at animals, then you realize we've forgotten that at the end of the day, we just have to find a way to survive. So we have to eat well, we have to stay healthy, we have to maintain relationships,
Right.
but we get into so many complications in life. Like, oh, how many likes did I get in on this photograph? Or what does that person think of me? What does that person think of
Right.
me? Or am I going to do this? Am I going to be successful? And then if I think about it like a tiger, I'm not thinking, oh, Solo must be thinking what Dawah thinks of her. I don't think so. She's just going on with her life,
Yeah.
even if it's really
Right.
difficult. So I think wildlife has really made my thought process a little more linear, a little more simple.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was really very well said. And I like the analogy that you
Thank you.
created. That's great. Okay, so I watched your whole series on YouTube, and what I observed was
Yeah.
that y'all are very close to tigers, right, while shooting them in the jeep. And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
how is the safety ensured, like, of you guys? Because after all,
Yeah.
it's like the proximity is really close, and it is a wild animal, right? So
Yeah.
then, how does it work?
Yeah. I think that's a brilliant question. I get that a lot of times. And the thing is, um, when you're in a national park, as a tourist, you have to work with trained professionals. So I tell everyone going to national park, don't go out there alone. First, it's illegal. Second, you always
Yeah.
have to be with a trained naturalist or a trained guide or a trained forest ranger. When it comes to me, I'm trained myself. I've been doing this for a very long time. It's part of my job. So I like back in Africa, I've got this training which essentially allows me to track the big five on foot. So the big five of Africa are lion,
No.
buffalo, rhino, leopard, and who did I forget? Oh my God, I can't believe elephant. Yeah,
Elephant.
I can't believe I forgot. I got the big five for a second. But you know, those are the big five of Africa. So I got the training to track them on foot, and of course from a vehicle to ensure a safe distance. And what happens if they get too close, or if you get too close? What happens if they try charging at you or
Okay, what
attacking you?
happens if they get too
I
close?
also
I
got
want
a
to know. Like, what would you do? What's the
um,
protocol?
every animal is different. Okay, so every species is different. Every animal and every individual is different as well. So, for example, with tigers, if they are close to me, I'm looking at their ears, I'm looking at their tail. Okay. If the tiger kind of moves its ear back and the tip of the tail kind of goes like that, it's getting agitated.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Then the third thing the tiger will do is snarl like that. And if you don't heed to that sign, that's when the tiger is going to charge. Charge as in
Okay.
like it's going to come running at you, kind of teeth blaring out. And then if you still don't heed to all of these signs, then you're in trouble if you don't know how to handle the next situation.
Oh,
And then if the tiger is charging at you, by the way, anyone listening, please do not try this, okay? Please, I don't take any responsibility for this.
I'm cutting this out
Um,
of the interview.
so if the tiger's coming, um, yeah, so if the tiger is coming at you like that, then in my experience, what we have done, this has happened three times, twice on foot, and actually three times on foot and many times on vehicles. Um, so I said twice first, just because twice we were literally on foot, and the third time I was standing, kind of like on a machan when the tiger charged. And what we did is we literally put our hands up and we scream, like really scream, like hey! And you have to scream at the top of your lungs and make sure it's coming straight from here. Like if you don't mean it, like the tiger's gonna know, and
Right.
the tiger's gonna stop because it's gonna get confused. Like
Okay.
again, for animals, it's about survival. If you do that and then the tiger's like, okay, maybe he can injure me. If I get injured, then I won't be able to hunt.
Right.
If I can't hunt, maybe I will not be able to survive. But as I said, every individual is different. So let's take tigers in Bandhavgarh for instance. Okay, I've tracked 76 tigers in Bandhavgarh. Actually, now nearly 85. This previous trip, I increased my count by nine, so it's good. Yeah, so these are different tigers, and of them, about 25 to 30 have been able to follow their lives since they were cubs. So when it comes to Spotty or Solo or Dabadol, if they are to charge at me and if I was to do this, like I kind of know that they will stop.
Okay. Because they're cubs?
But if no, because of their personality.
Oh, okay.
But if it was Dottie, I'm not too sure.
Okay, was he the one that was eating on the carcass and not
She,
letting the siblings? Oh, she, sorry. Not letting the siblings
Yeah,
have
no, those are
fun.
solo sculpts. They're not,
Okay, these
no,
are
not those.
okay.
Yeah. So Spotty, Dotty are other females. Again, I've known them for nearly 7 years now, and Dabadol also. So I know these females really well, or even the males. For example, if Bajrang is to charge at me or Mahaman is to charge at me, and if I'm to do that, I know they'll stop.
Okay.
And versus if it's someone like Chakradhara male or Ghoda Daemon male.
I love
So
these
these are
names.
different names.
You give them, right?
Yeah. No, I didn't give them. I didn't give them. The local guides and naturalists give them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. For example, Spotty, she's actually Spot the T because she has a T-shaped marking on her forehead. Dotty has a D-shaped marking on her forehead. And these
Oh.
are like every tiger has a unique stripe pattern, just like how you and I will have a different pattern on our thumb. So as I was saying, because I know their personalities in Bandhavgarh so well, if Bajrang and Mahaman are to charge at me, I know that if I do this they'll stop. But versus Chakradhara male, Ghoda Daemon male, Rancha male, I'm not too sure because it's very difficult to judge them, and they are a little more aggressive because they're not used to humans as much.
Okay.
Similarly, if Spotty is on a kill and if there are cubs nearby, then if she charges at me, like that's done because because not because not if when I'm in a vehicle she won't charge at me she because they already know that the vehicles are just there and they're part of the environment because no vehicle has harmed a tiger
Harm
yet,
them.
so they don't really care. Yeah, but when humans, it's embedded in them. Humans hunt, humans kill them, humans poach them. Like it's actually embedded in their psyche just to fear that human form because of thousands of years of evolution.
Right.
So if I'm on foot and hypothetically Spotty charges at me and if they're cubs, that's a very dangerous situation. It's going to be very difficult to get out of that. So that's why I see every tiger has a personality. Every animal has a personality. Now, flip side, for example, if it comes to sloth bears, if a sloth bear is charging at you, you will not stand a chance if you go like, eh, like it's gonna kill you right there. When a
Okay.
sloth bear is charging at you, you have to run for your life.
You have to run.
You have to
Okay.
run for your life.
I thought
Like somehow
you have to
just
like
find a way
lie down or something. I don't know that.
and play dead. No
Yeah.
chance. Not with
No.
sloth bears. That happens with American bears and grizzly bears. Not with sloth bears. Not at all with sloth bears.
Okay.
Um, with elephants, they will put a lot of people think that when elephants put their ears out, that's when they're being aggressive, but that's just the first sign of aggression. If an elephant's ears out and the trunk is down, and if it comes charging at you, then it's a mock charge. But
Mock charge.
yeah,
Like they're just doing it to
yeah,
play around with you. Or
not play around, just to let you know, hey, back off.
okay. That's
Okay?
my first
Sometimes they also
warning.
play
Right.
around.
Right.
Then what they're also gonna do is they're gonna shake their head and go like like that. And if you don't listen to all of those signs and back away, so you
Okay.
see animals are giving you signs that just leave,
Right.
back away. If you don't back away, then the final charge comes. Sometimes they'll also like kind of do this with the mud. Again, that's just mocking. The final charge, when it happens, the elephant is actually gonna put its trunk under its teeth, or not under its teeth, under its tusk,
Trunk.
because because the trunk is the most sensitive part of the body. If it loses the trunk, or if the trunk gets hurt, then the elephant is gone. So it's actually gonna fold
Protect
it
it.
in,
Right.
yeah, put the head down, take the ears back, and then come. And then you're in trouble. Then you're in
Damn.
huge
And
trouble.
what
You're
is
in huge
then you
trouble.
just run, right? There is no escape.
No, then you run, yeah. Otherwise, when it's mock charging, when you go like, hey, it'll stop.
Okay.
There's a video from my series like 2016 when I did my first ever film, like presenting in front of camera. When an elephant charges us, we did that and he stopped like really, really hard. Well, I didn't do it. I was still inexperienced and I didn't know much. The ranger actually did it.
Okay.
But if that elephant was charging, if he had his um, his trunk down
Drunk
and stuff
on.
like that, then that would be a problem. Then we have to run. Then we just have to find a way to get out of that situation.
So
Yeah.
you've like trained specifically just to run fast, right? Just to increase your stamina and your speed.
Yeah, I'm a sportsman. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, Usain Bolt style.
Ooh. But yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So also we are aware that, like, when you're taking to get that perfect shot, at times you spend like a day, many days, and I
Yeah.
want to know, has there been an incident wherein your focus has shifted from what you were intending to capture to something else,
Yeah.
or like
Yeah.
just a funny incident where you slept and you don't realize that, okay, so much time has gone
Yeah.
by.
A lot of times, actually. I'll tell you the incident because you said sleeping. So Dottie, who's this beautiful blue-eyed tigress from Bambalpur, and she is a very difficult female to understand.
Okay.
We in Hindi we always say वो चकमा दे देती है हमेशा. She's very difficult. And why it is because, if a tiger is walking like this on one path and if it goes right, then the chances are that it's going to keep going right and then come out on this road on the right.
Right.
If it doesn't come out, it'll just sit. Dottie's the kind of female that she's going to go like this, take right, come back, and then go again like this, and then go on to this side of the forest. And
Okay.
then somehow she'll end up here and you won't even know.
You won't know.
You literally wouldn't know. Like she will growl from behind us, but like end up coming in front of us. Like it just doesn't make sense. So one time we were waiting for Dottie, and it was about 7 a.m., really, really cold morning. We heard her growling for literally 5 meters away. Like if I were to get off the Jeep and walk towards her, the tigress would be sitting right behind a bamboo. Again, I would never do that. That's illegal, and that's just foolish. So yeah, we just waited. We waited, and I was like, the bush is rustling, and I can hear her. She's going just kind of making her presence felt. Waited. 7 became 8 a.m. 8 a.m. became 10 a.m. And I fell asleep after 10 a.m.
Okay.
And this girl came out, but she came out like way behind us, walked all over the road. Okay. And then we were like, Gudda Bhaiya, who's my natural, she's like, Suyash, get up. And I was like, yeah, what's up? He's like, we've been waiting here for too long. Let's go back and check. So we took the car around, we went back and checked, and literally her pug marks are everywhere for
Everywhere.
at least 2.5 kilometers. And I'm like,
But that was
I want
like
to kill myself.
the only time, or like there have
Yeah, I
been.
mean, like this. See, when you spend close to 250 days in the wild, things like this happen all the time. And the thing is, you don't beat yourself over it. And it's not
Right.
because I slept, I missed the shot. It's because it's Dotty, and plus, like, what do we do?
Right.
Um, a lot of time guests have missed the shot because they either sleep or like back in Africa, you're allowed to get out the vehicle sometimes. So sometimes guests tend to get off the vehicle just to relieve themselves. And I tell them, hey, you're gonna miss the shot, you're gonna miss the shot. They're like,
Right.
oh no, the lion is just sleeping, he's too far away. And then they get off on this side, and I'm like, you're gonna miss the shot. The lioness is gonna come, and the male is gonna get up and snarl at her. And they're like, no, Suyash, he's been sleeping for 4 hours. So she gets down on the left side. The line is really far, and he's kind of on the hill. That's why, they got off on the left, which is fine. And she gets off, her husband gets off, and then the lioness comes. The lion gets up. Behind is the sunset. The lion gets up. The lioness is coming. The lion is snarling at the lioness, and behind them is the sunset. And
Wow.
they missed the shot.
Oh my God. Okay, but
I didn't get the shot either.
okay.
Because sometimes when I'm with guests and they were photography specific guests, then I'm just focusing on them. Then I just leave my camera behind. But I just enjoyed the moment. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was
You're not
awesome.
gonna
Yeah,
forget it. It's like in your mind.
yeah,
That's
it was
great.
awesome. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. We are coming, like the whole team, when when we're like financially stable. We're coming to Bandhavgarh.
Please. I would
Done.
love to host you. Please, please.
Yes.
Done.
Done. Done.
I would absolutely love that. There's so many people literally who come on these safaris. Literally, there was a girl who was 15-year-old from Mumbai who came, and she came alone. And she last day she cried so much. She didn't want to leave.
Oh,
She had
yeah.
such a great time. She literally cried on my shoulder. I don't want to leave. Oh my God, no.
Yeah,
Had a
I
great
mean,
time
you
there.
would tend to prefer that kind of a life than here. I mean,
Yeah,
majority
yeah.
would.
It does come with a lot of difficulties and sacrifices.
Right.
I think people miss the fact because of the glorification on social media on lifestyles like these. People miss that we are really far away from family for the most of the time. We don't have a structured schedule. We work 15 hours a day, 16 hours a day sometimes. I hardly get sleep when I'm out there. I wake up at 3:45 a.m. every day, and then I sleep at 10, 11. And every day you're just out in the bush,
Right.
and it really gets to you sometimes because I love it. I love it, but my body sometimes can't handle
Yeah.
it. Okay,
Yeah.
for just for your viewers, I want people to log in or go on July 29th, which is Global Tiger Day, and
Right.
go on to tv.suyashkeshri.com,
Okay.
which is going to be a new platform. And the series is not going to come out yet, but go there and just sign up for the newsletter so you can understand what's coming up and keep getting the ideas. Yeah,
Done. I'll keep this up on Instagram as well.
done, done.
For sure.
Done.
Super excited. Yeah. All the best.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay. So, another question that a lot of viewers had was is relocating animals out of their natural habitat ethical, or is just done for commercial purposes?
Uh, Relocation is very important when it comes to wildlife conservation. Relocation to putting them into zoos and that's not good. Yeah. So for example, wildlife conservation. Let's say there's this national park called or there's this wildlife sanctuary called Ratapani in Madhya Pradesh.
Okay.
Ratapani only has 19 tigers. Okay, that's the estimation. Let's say that 19 tigers becomes two tigers today. Then a place like Bandhavgarh, which has a lot of tigers, you can take those tigers, a few of them, and then relocate them to Ratapani
Right.
to actually help the population regrow and rejuvenate over time. So
Okay.
that kind of relocation is very good. For example, there's another national park in near Bandhavgarh called Sanjay Dubri National Park, where because of years and years of hunting, poaching, the deer population came down. That's why the tiger population came down. So a few of the tigers from Bandhavgarh were relocated there. Approximately 2,000 deer were relocated from Bandhavgarh to Sanjay Dubri. And now Sanjay Dubri is a very good habitat. So things like that are very important.
Right.
But when those things are done so that, animals are caught and sent to zoos, I hate that. I
No.
absolutely hate that.
Right.
No, I don't support it. Yeah. No.
But I had a question because so tigers are highly territorial, right? So when
Yeah.
they shift from one place to another, are there some behavioral modifications? Because I'm aware that they are almost in the same kind of environment, but it's yet not the same as they were before. So,
No, so the environment can be completely different. Tigers are highly adaptable, and so
okay.
are leopards, so are lions. They're very adaptable. So the environment can be completely different, and that's okay. But when you're putting a tiger in a place that has other tigers, then of course there
Right.
are chances of kind of fights and problems going through between the tigers. But that's why you usually only relocate tigers from tiger surplus areas to tiger deficit areas.
Deficit. Right.
Because if the tiger goes into a deficit area, let's see, this is the deficit area, and this point has a tiger, this point has a tiger, but this has no tigers. Let's say you drop the tiger here, and he goes towards the other two tigers, and then they nearly get into a fight, but then the tiger goes back, and then he
Claims
understands
that
that this area is
territory.
empty.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They just claim the empty space.
Okay.
When
Okay.
they the most fights happen when they're not able to find empty spaces. For example, in place like Bandhavgarh, we can only have between 65 and 72 tigers,
Mm-hmm.
but our population is 134,
So
so that's not
how?
good at all.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean.
a lot of fights, and
Mm-hmm.
we have to relocate a lot of them. A lot of the tigers also use the corridor, which are like parks. One park is connected to another park. So
Okay.
Bandhavgarh is connected to Sanjay Dubri.
Okay.
But the corridor is very small.
Mm-hmm.
Earlier, it used to be incredibly large. Bandhavgarh was connected to Panna, Sanjay Dubri, Chhattisgarh,
Mm.
Amarkantak, Kanha, but now it's not so.
What happened?
It's
Like,
very difficult.
why is it not connected?
Because of human habitation, because of
Oh.
farmlands, because of cities, settlements, roads,
Mm-hmm.
railway lines, mines, all of those things coming up. Yeah.
Okay. Because we had an instance over here in Bombay
Mhm.
where penguins were brought to the Mumbai Zoo. Now, these
Oh
penguins
no.
were Humboldt. I'm not like sure if I'm pronouncing them correctly.
Humboldt penguins, yeah.
Humboldt, yeah. And
Yeah.
now, even when you get them, you need to have the infrastructure, right? And you won't believe it, in a week or two of getting them over here, one female penguin and one baby chick died. And when I read up about it, firstly they said that it was lack of infrastructure, or there was even food poisoning. So environmentalists like protested and all. So I just wanted to bring it out, like there was no need. There was actually no need,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it was
100%.
just very very sad to see them
Yeah.
relocated and then for this to happen.
Yeah. No, thank you for sharing that because that just goes on to say, right? Again, we are relocating penguins from thousands and thousands of
Right,
miles away
right.
to a place like Mumbai
Mm-hmm.
where they face so much heat and humidity which they're not used
Exactly.
to.
Right.
And we only do that so people like you and I can go and see
Go and,
penguins.
yeah, take the ticket and watch it. I mean,
Yeah.
um,
Like that's again, oh, it should be for our, it should be for
entertainment.
human
Mm-hmm.
entertainment. No. Then people like, oh, people are learning. Well,
Mm.
people are learning the wrong things. A lot of people like to argue with me saying, zoos are very educational. Well, yes, they're educational, but they're educating the young minds about the wrong things.
Mm.
They're educating people that, okay, humans are the topmost species
Right.
and animals belong in the zoos or animals. It's
Mm.
okay to take animals from the wild and put them into zoos. It's not okay. They're also not being taught that you can find other ways of enjoying
Right.
wildlife and environment as well. So, no, I
Yeah,
really
it's
disagree with the
especially with
zoos.
city bred kids, it's very restricted to zoos. Like, even while growing up, I've
Yeah,
seen it. You wouldn't like venture into anything else, but zoo hai na idhar, let's go there only.
yeah,
So
yeah. That's
that
why a lot of
attitude
people,
shift.
yeah, and they're not able to appreciate when they reach a national park.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
A lot of
because
people come to
right.
Bandhavgarh, they're
Hmm.
like, अरे इससे अच्छा टाइगर तो नागपुर जू में दिखता है. तो जाइए भाई आप नागपुर जू जाइए.
No comments. No, but
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask how effective are the laws that are implemented in Bandhavgarh and around India generally?
Look, environmental laws in India, when it comes to wildlife protection, are one of the strictest,
Mm-hmm.
especially the 1970s Wildlife Act
Mm-hmm.
and all of those acts that actually are implemented regarding a specific species, such as tigers, leopards, sloth bears. They're very strict, but somehow the implementation is uneven. I'm not going to say it's lacking because
Mm-hmm.
places like Kanha, Bandhavgarh are very, very strict and the laws are very harshly implemented.
Mm-hmm.
But then other places kind of lose out, which don't have enough protection. For
Okay.
example, a place like Chhattisgarh,
Mm-hmm.
where I grew up in Chhattisgarh in Madhya Pradesh. Chhattisgarh used to have amazing forests and it used to have a huge population of tigers. But as per the previous count in Chhattisgarh, the tiger numbers are less than 10. Um,
Oh my God.
So you have such a large state, but the tiger population has vanished.
Right.
So that just shows that the laws have not been implemented properly. Versus in a place like Madhya Pradesh, even though there is poaching, I'm not going to say there isn't poaching. There is poaching. Even though there's a lot of problems, our tiger population has increased. We have
Okay.
more than 500 tigers
Yeah.
in Madhya Pradesh compared to less than 10 in Chhattisgarh.
Okay.
Um,
So,
so it's difficult, especially in a place like India where most of the population is rural, where the most of the population i- is undereducated, and most of the population really cares about just getting from day one to day two, day two to day three.
right.
It's difficult. Yeah.
Okay, so when we went through your IGTVs, you mentioned about a defense mechanism that trees have, and they
Yeah.
turn their leaves bitter.
Yeah.
That was super cool.
Yeah.
Because
Right?
again, we've not learned this in school, right? We just know that animals have defense mechanisms. So this was
Yeah.
really informative. So I wanted to ask you if you know of any rare and maybe like the audience would never have heard of kind of a defense mechanism, be it for plants or for animals.
Hmm. Good question. Let me think for a sec.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'll say something very, very, very common and okay. So, by the way, I want to make a comment of the school's things. We learn everything about photosynthesis, mitochondria, chlorophyll, all that. But I'm
I know.
sorry, I don't understand. Even as a naturalist and a wildlife enthusiast and someone who's, well, wildlife, I won't say wildlife enthusiast now. I call myself a wildlife expert. I'm just not an enthusiast. But
Yeah,
you get my point. But, but the point is, that doesn't help us. But
Okay,
learning
so
something about a defense mechanism of a tree
right,
helps us.
right. So I'm a science student till the 10th, and then I dropped it because I
Uh,
couldn't go ahead. And we had this formula for photosynthesis, which we learned, and we had to mug by heart. I don't know the
yeah.
relevance of it even today, and even for the next 50 years of my life, I do not know how it's going to help me. So I, I don't agree.
Yeah. Versus, I wish we were taught like, okay, these are different kinds of trees, and these are the benefits. Maybe if you want to plant a tree,
Right.
we always told plant a tree.
Yeah.
Okay, right? Which tree?
Which tree?
Okay, because it's not like you just plant a seed and it becomes a tree. It doesn't happen like that. Then tell us the easiest tree to plant. Tell us how to nurture the tree. Tell us how to see it grow till adulthood. Tell
Right.
us how to take care of it. Similarly, like what if schools taught us medicinal properties of different trees or the
Right.
importance of different trees and how the trees actually interact with the soil? That's going to be helpful for saving the environment. But coming back to your question, so a lot of us think that snakes, for example, they have a defense mechanism, which we already know. What is it?
Poison.
Venom, not poison.
Okay, sorry. Venom.
Venom. It's okay. So there's a difference between poisonous and venomous as well. So venom is something that is injected into you. Poison is something that if you kind of take it in, then it's poison. So mushrooms are poisonous,
Okay.
snakes are venomous.
Ah, got
Just
it.
a little distinction.
Got
So
it.
we always think that snakes have venom and snakes have a bite force. Those are the two things that kind of repel different predators or repel humans and are defense mechanisms. But snakes have another defense mechanism. When you actually hold a snake, so let's say a predator has been able to avoid the snake bite and actually is holding the snake. The snakes actually release this stress toxin in their body, which is really, really pungent, incredibly pungent.
Okay.
And I say this because, I've rescued a lot of snakes and I've held them in my hand, and especially this one snake that I was rescuing and releasing last year. I'll share the video with you. this guy smelled so bad. It felt like I'm holding a dead human. It
Oh my
was
God.
disgusting. And it was slithering in my hand right here. But somehow the smell just went everywhere, and it was on me for 3 days, even though I took like two,
Oh my
four,
God.
five showers. It was just disgusting. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep properly. I just couldn't even be with myself. It was just there. It was
Constantly
disgusting.
reminding you of its presence. I
Exactly.
exist.
But it was like, it was a really, really bad, and I can't explain it. It literally smells like a dead person or a dead
Yeah.
animal. It was
Damn.
disgusting. So that is a defense mechanism which most people don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I recommend I did. No one, I think, watching this would know it. That's great. Okay,
Uh,
so until now, which was the most dangerous yet most adventurous location that you've shot in?
Location. I think both Bandhavgarh and South Africa for me have been equally dangerous and equally adventurous. Bandhavgarh, I've spent just so much time there.
Right.
I've been in all kinds of situations people can imagine, be it with tigers charging at me, leopards charging at me, elephants charging at me, nearly stepping on a spectacled cobra, which is a snake.
Wow, what happened at that time? I want to know.
Yeah. So, um, this happened 2 days, okay? Two days. One another snake, one spectacle cobra. So one day I was just walking around and just going on a bird walk just by myself. And when I'm walking around, I tend to kind of look left, right, and then on the floor just to see if I can pick up some pug marks or any other signs. So I was looking left, right, left, right. Okay, this is November time, and I saw really far away, kind of, a few twigs and bushes. Then beyond that, I saw a stick on the ground. So I kept walking, left, right. And as soon as I got closer to the stick, I didn't even pay attention to it. It was just completely still on the ground. And I was literally about to step on it when the stick moved, and I jumped back. I jumped back really hard, and
Yeah.
the snake just came up and then slithered back.
It slithered back.
Um,
Oh, okay. It didn't
Yeah,
charge.
it got
Okay.
scared. No, it can't. It can't. Most snakes aren't again. It would have probably bit me if I was about to step on it or if I stepped on it. Snakes aren't malicious. Snakes never charge. They never come
Okay.
for you. It just does not happen.
Yeah.
It only happens in cartoons,
Yeah,
and
no,
on
yeah. So, another
yeah
question. Pop
yeah
culture has kind of molded our minds to think of certain animals in a certain way. Like,
yeah
I mean, snakes are evil if you ask any, like, like,
yeah.
because you've seen it, like, even in magazines. Like, I'm not talking about magazines, sorry, I
Bollywood,
meant comics.
even Bollywood,
Yes, Bollywood.
and
How didn't we tap into that?
yeah, Bollywood in media. सांपों का आतंक फैला हुआ इस शहर में. That's the kind of stuff they say.
I know, I know, I know.
Ah,
It's just like generalized.
yeah. So in the same incident, or similar incident, the second time, I was kind of jumping into a fence, or like from a fence into our property back because I didn't want to take the long way. I just was like, I'm tired. I'm just gonna jump our fence. So I jumped the fence and I landed 1.5 feet away from a spectacled cobra. And looking at the spectacled cobra, I jumped back and fell on the fence. And the spectacled cobra lost it and ran like I've never seen a snake run. Like it slithered away so fast and like it was actually loud, like and then it just ran.
He was like, "What did I see?"
Yeah. Because you see, he or she was as scared of me
Scares.
as I was of them. Similarly with the other snake, which was on the just like there, like they're really scared of us. And it's like today if you're walking around in the city, Okay, and if a random guy comes and taps on your shoulder, holds your shoulder, and your immediate thing would be like,
Yeah, back off.
hit him, right? But with snakes, since they're venomous, when they do that, unfortunately, we either collapse, pass out, or we die.
Right.
That's just their defense mechanism. Because think of snakes. Otherwise, without the venom, they are one of the easiest things to kill because you know, they hardly have a bone structure. Their bone structure is so thin that, if you actually mishandle a snake, you'll break its vertebrae.
Yeah.
Um, they're just there. They're very easy to kill. So it's just a defense mechanism
Right.
that God has put in them. You have to think like that. Yeah.
That's a different perspective. Like, never thought of it that way. Nice
Yeah. Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Okay, so could you teach us some alarm calls? Like, the audience is like wanting to know.
Sure, 100%. Um, okay, let's start with my favorite. We're gonna start with langur. Okay, so langur monkeys, when they see a tiger, and when they see a leopard, or when they see any other predator in the forest floor, they make an alarm call. So when langur see a tiger, they go like that.
Yeah. Okay.
When they see a leopard, then two langurs will call. Okay. When they see a tiger, only one langur will call. When they see a leopard, two langurs will call. Because leopards can climb a tree,
Right.
and nothing scares a langur as much as a leopard, not even a tiger.
Okay.
When a leopard is there and a langur sees a leopard, so of course they're making that coughing sound. But then one other langur will kind of make this screeching sound as well, like that. And
Okay.
then there's a leopard around. So those are a few alarm calls. And other ones, I'm gonna leave it for my series because I want people to see when it comes out. It's gonna
Yeah.
take 2 months to come out. Yeah.
Done, done, done. But so they are calling out to like their
They're calling out
species
to
or just
each other, and of course the forest gets alert.
okay.
Because just like how I would know that this is a langur alarm call, deer recognize it as well. Birds recognize it. Other animals recognize it.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So where do you see wildlife in the future for India? Like, is it going to get better? If yes, how? If no, why? And do you think our generation is going to save it or no?
Wow, heavy question. See, I think in India, the unfortunately most places in India will become islands of paradise covered by a concrete ocean. Places like Ranthambore have already become that. They don't have corridors. There'll be a lot of inbreeding because of that. And a lot of inbreeding means the gene pool is actually going to go down. And then one small disease can kill all the animals. So unless we make a concentrated effort at not only connecting different national parks, but also maintaining those connections and making sure that there's not only one point of connection, there are multiple points of connection. Unless we do that, there's going to be a huge problem for India's wildlife.
Okay.
Places like Bandhavgarh, places like Ranthambore, Panna, Corbett, Kanha, Kabini, they're always going to be there. Like even 50 years down the line, they are going to be there because they're protected national parks. But will they be as good as they are now, or as
Right.
good as they were 50 years ago? I don't think so.
Okay.
There'll be a degraded version of it. They might lack the same species maybe. If we can't protect animals, they might even disappear. If we can't get our hold on climate change and global warming, we'll see all of these forests, which a lot of them are moist deciduous forests, turn into dry deciduous forests turn into deserts, evergreen forests turn into dry deciduous forests, and so on and so forth in
Yeah.
the years to come. And then the question about whether our generation is going to save it, I believe that our generation is going to be the catalyst to the change. And
Got it.
but the problem is not enough. I don't think it's enough. Rather, I don't think enough people are involved in conservation
Right.
or in thinking about saving nature. India has the largest population of millennials and Generation
Right.
Z, but sadly, because of the rat race to get the best job, best salary, best house, best car, best grades, topping the 10th board, topping the 12th boards. Sadly, because of all of
Yeah.
this, we're forgetting the important things in life, and that's also one of them is our environment, our
Right.
emotions, our finances, our families, our own business, our entrepreneurial drive, or just the fact that you need to find a way to love yourself. If we can't do those things, then forget saving the tiger, forget
Right.
saving the leopards, forget saving their habitat. Um, so I think the more people we are able to find a way to kind of inspire, get connected, the better it will be.
Right.
Because again, right, my quote says, "What we can see, we can love, and what we can love, we'll fight to protect." And that is number one priority. We have to get people connected. There are few people who have come with me on a safari, and they're kids. One of them was from Delhi, she was 5 years old. One of them was from Mumbai, who was 11
Okay.
years old. And the 5 year old said to a parakeet, she's like, "Oh, what's this bird? I've never seen it." And I was like, "Oh, that's so cute that you're actually interested in it."
Right.
But then that also made me think like she has never seen that.
Seeing that exactly.
That's so sad. I grew up seeing that when I was like 2 or 3 years old because I grew up in central India. Then like then the 11-year-old said, "I've never seen anything besides pigeon, crow, and parakeets." So the 11-year-old has only seen three kind
Three.
of birds in his
Yeah.
life. And he said, of course, a peacock as well. Four kinds of birds. And I'm like, there are 1,500 species of birds in India.
Right.
And it just made me sad because it's not his fault. It's the fault is actually on kind of the system that he's in.
Yeah.
Because and it's not even the parents' fault because the educational system prioritizes
Right.
you know
Rote learning, marks.
learning,
Yeah.
yeah, rote learning sine, con, tan, theta, and all of this,
Oh
which I
my God.
still don't know,
No, I know.
still don't know, and I
I
don't know
mean,
how it'll help me in my life.
agreed, if you want to pursue something related to it, go ahead and study it. But, again, diversification of subjects, keep stuff that actually
Exactly.
matters,
Yeah.
practical stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
100%. Like especially you're in school, like you would totally understand this
Yeah,
because it drives me nuts. Drives me
I
nuts.
know, I
And
know.
don't get me wrong, I got really good grades, so I don't want people to think, oh, Suyash said that, so we're gonna stop studying and just gonna
No, it's
focus on
not
that.
about
No,
that. I know,
yeah, it's
right?
just
It's,
I got really good grades. I went to a great college. I got really good grades there. And the reason I got good grades is because I like studying, but I also never gave other people a chance to question me.
right.
He does this because he didn't get good grades. No, I got
Yeah,
fantastic grades, and everyone listening should get fantastic grades. But in the process, remember to be analytical and question what you're learning.
right.
Yeah.
Don't just learn for the sake of it.
Yeah.
I mean, 100% agree. Wow. I think this should be like aired to. I'll send this to a few schools if I can.
Please.
Go ahead.
Please. Done deal.
Okay.
100%.
So, there is this aspect in design called biomimicry. So, for
Yeah.
example, a bullet train is inspired by a kingfisher, aeroplanes are inspired by birds. So, if you were to design a product, which animal would you choose? And what characteristics or qualities would you inculcate?
Yeah. I would choose a dung beetle. Why? Because they're one of
Okay.
the strongest living beings on our planet. They can lift like I don't even know the exact amount, but like more than 100 times their body weight. and they are incredibly strong. If you drop them from like the eighth floor and they fall down on their back, it'll hurt them, but then
Mm-hmm.
they'll like kind of squiver around and then stand up and then just go about their ways. And they also they use all of this strength to actually help the environment. They don't hurt the environment.
Right.
They're not predators. They
Mm-hmm.
don't kill other beings and eat it. They actually feed off of dung.
Mm-hmm.
And when they roll the dungs and take it from one spot to another, they actually help in pollinating a lot of the
Yeah.
trees, a lot of the seeds. They actually help in the process of fertilization. And I would like to design something like that. I would like
Wow.
to find a way that it's indestructible, it's beneficial for the environment, and essentially it's really cute and really beautiful as well. Like, a lot of people are scared of
Right.
insects, but next time you see a dung beetle, just take a deep breath and try getting closer to it and see its
Mm-hmm.
coating. It's a metallic green or metallic blue that shines, and it's so beautiful. It is so beautiful. And then you start thinking like an insect, right?
Mm.
You start thinking even as human and try being a little more sensitive.
Mm.
So God has made something like that, and we're usually scared of them.
Yeah.
But you're right next to them. It's not biting you. It's not killing you. It's not stinging you. It's just going off around its business and
Mm.
doing its thing. It's something like that, and we're usually scared of them.
Yeah.
But you're right next to them. It's not biting you. It's not killing you. It's not stinging you. It's just going off around its business and
Mm.
doing its thing.
Just
Yeah.
observe.
Beautiful. Yeah.
So since you spoke about like people getting scared of insects, so especially with city bred kids, this is like you see a lizard or see a small cockroach.
Yeah.
So how do we bring that same love and focus, like how we like tigers and lions? So how do we get that same level of understanding towards insects as well? Um, because I mean,
Firstly,
go ahead, go
no,
ahead.
please go ahead.
No,
No,
I meant like
complete.
for tigers and lions, there is a safari, there is a national park. But what about insects? How can you
Yeah.
tap into that?
I think firstly, like people who are scared of insects, of lizards, of bees,
Hmm.
I think it's completely fine to be scared of them.
Right.
I don't want to shame them at all.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of the people are like, oh, how can you be scared of a bee or how can you be
Mm.
scared of a lizard? I mean, if someone is scared, they're scared.
Yeah.
I think what needs to happen is at a very early age, they need to be taught that every being is important and every being has a personality and character. If you step on an ant, it's going to die and its family is also going to mourn for it, just like your family mourns
Right.
for it. So if you tell that to a 5-year-old, watch it never step on an ant again.
Hmm.
But if you tell that to a 18-year-old or like even a 40-year-old, they're like, oh, who cares about ants
Hmm.
feeling squashed? My point is, I said this in my recent post as well. Young minds are mendable and bendable.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, we mend them and bend them in the wrong ways.
Wrong. Hmm.
If you mend them and bend them in a right way from early childhood, they'll be fine. Like
Hmm.
there's only one thing in life that I don't mind killing, and that's mosquitoes.
Me too.
That's
Yeah.
just the only thing. But I
Yeah.
would, I like when I'm driving a vehicle in the forest, sometimes like drive over like an army of ants, and I just feel so
So
bad because I
yeah.
didn't see them, or I do that, or if I step on an ant by mistake,
Hmm.
I actually feel very, very guilty
Hmm.
because I was taught that at a very young age,
Right.
whether it is through TV shows or through my Nana ji or through my other family members.
Hmm.
And I think that has to change. It has to be at a young age.
Yeah.
On the flip side, for people like you and I, or people older than us in their 30s, 40s, 50s, for them to get accustomed is more difficult.
Mm-hmm.
The way I see that is, you know, I don't have to get them to love the bee, the frog, or the insect.
Hmm.
let's try getting them. So if they like tigers, okay? They
Yeah.
like tigers.
Right.
Let's tell them that this is the tiger's forest, and over 1,500 species of birds live in this forest.
Mm-hmm.
Over 10,000 insects live in this forest. 20,000 species of trees. 5,000 species of butterflies or fish, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You get my point.
Right.
It's an ecosystem. So if you save the tiger, then you save everything like that. So
Oh,
by
yeah.
getting them to save the tiger, so the umbrella species, right?
Right.
We read about the umbrella species, but we truly don't understand what
Understand.
the umbrella species is. So the tiger, if you save the tiger in its forest, then I have achieved my goal at getting you to save the honeybee,
Right.
the insect, and the frog, even though you don't like all of them. And I don't need you to love all of them. It's
Love.
okay. I understand some things might be scary. But let's just even remove the tiger. Then you make another species the hero of that
Food
environment.
chain. Yeah. Like
Let's,
you're just
yeah,
helping. Yeah.
yeah. Let's remove any of the predators. Then you make trees the important species. Let's take sal tree in central India, or in north, let's take pine tree. Let's make
Right.
pine tree the hero. Essentially, what people need is they need to connect with a species, whether it's a tree or an animal, make them fall in love with that, and then once they're in love with that, then everything around it will be
Books.
safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Got it. That's good. Okay, so anything that you want to tell like our target audience, which is primarily like 15 to 25-year-olds, for pursuing an
Yeah.
unconventional career. I like that you tapped into the point of it being like you're away from family, and it's not as easy and glorified as it looks on social media and in movies. So
Yeah.
what would you like to tell them?
Yeah. I think for all the younger generation who want to go into this field, I want to give very honest advice. It's going to be one of the most difficult things they try in their life because it's like, think like an entrepreneur, okay? You are going on an artistic entrepreneurial journey or kind of getting into a naturalist environment, but this is an entrepreneurial journey. Um, and you have to think like an entrepreneur. You have to think in ways that you can be independent, that you don't have to rely on other people
Right.
for finances or achieving success. You have to go about it independently. Do your own research. Learn as much as possible yourself. Read a lot of books. Gain as much knowledge as possible. Get real life experiences. Talk to locals. Don't rely on other professionals in the industry to give you opportunity. Create an
Create
opportunity
an
for
opportunity.
yourself. In fact, I wrote a open letter to this young naturalist, Aman Sharma. You could see the post that I did
Was it
just
for
a day or
Birds
two
of
ago.
India?
Birds
I
of India. So I think you should link that post here
I
so that
will.
everyone should read that post. Like
I
it's
will.
going to take a while to read that, but that advice is what someone should always follow. And just know that, you know, if you want to do something, you have to go a wholehearted go at it.
Right.
Um, and then if you think you're failing, then try assessing your feelings. 1 week from now, 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, 4 weeks from now, 5 weeks from now. And just know that if you're not able to succeed, it is okay to give up. I think we are
Yeah, the
we
fear
we
of
are
failing at something is very predominant
exactly.
in us. Like, it's
Yeah,
unacceptable.
100%. And we hear this word never give up. But the thing is, like, if something's not working out for you specifically, then it's okay to move
Right.
on, but make an informed decision. Don't give up because you're tired. Give up because you have grown out of it,
Right. 100%.
right? I would say to the young audience, like, find ways to get creative, find ways to get out there, find ways to move away from the screen and go out and experience. Come on a safari with me. I would love to host you.
Done.
That would be amazing for anyone listening to this podcast. And I tell you, it'll be a truly spectacular experience. I've taken over 100 people on a safari with me in the past 2 years, and I kid you not, we are a community, we are a family, we are always there for each other, and the things you learn out there with me in the
Right.
field um, is more than a classroom can teach you.
100%. Much, much
Yeah,
more.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Okay. So, just a very casual question, but we came across this on your website. Why is your pet name Sushi?
My pet name is actually not Sushi. That's
It's
just a
not.
nickname that,
Okay.
yeah, it's not. It's not an official pet name. My nick that's like a nickname that a lot of my friends have given me.
Okay.
Um,
But do you
somehow
personally
it's
like sushi?
I like Suyash the most. I love my name and I just like the name. But so I'll tell you, okay. Mostly it was girls who used to call me Sushi.
Aww.
Don't know why. Yeah,
Sushi.
all my friends who are girls, they call me Sushi. Uh, my guy friends used to call me Sush. Um,
Okay. That's
yeah,
cool.
Sush. But girls usually Sushi. So it's just stuck around Sush or Sushi.
Sushi.
Just
Okay.
yeah.
We thought like you had some like underlying meaning as to why, but then cool.
No, I think it's just because Suyash, Sush, and Sushi. Yeah.
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. Had an amazing
Yeah, my
time.
pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for having me. This was great, and I hope this was helpful for your audience.
It
I had
was.
fun, and I hope you had fun as well.
I had a lot of
And
fun. I hope you
great.
like the questions.
Yes, I really like the questions because a lot of the other questions that I've taken are overdone, and I really don't like answering the same questions over and over again,
Yeah.
which I've already answered on other like
I
public
know. Wow.
platforms.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Personally, if someone's on a safari with me or someone's meeting me and they're asking the same questions I've already talked about, I'm happy to answer
Right.
them. But in a public platform, I don't want to do 10 podcasts talking about the same
Same
questions,
thing.
right? I want to get into different things. So thank you for doing that. Yeah, it was a pleasure.
Thank you.
I
Thank
look
you so
forward to
much.
meeting you. I look forward to
Done.
hosting you on a safari.
100%.
And what you're doing is great. You
Thank you.
are entrepreneurial in your ways, and I hope you're very successful.
Thank
And
you.
if you ever need anything, I'm here.
Sure, for sure. And like I don't know when, but I will be coming for the safari for sure.
I would love that. Done deal.
Thank you for watching. It's Asmin, your host. If you like this, go ahead and give us a big thumbs up, subscribe, hit on the bell icon to get notified for future podcast episodes, and comment what you learned from this one. Share it with someone so we all learn, grow, and evolve together.